In
Just lucky
in
for me.
in I think it was 2020. You met Bill Murray after almost 30 years or 25 years again in the cheap commercial. How was it when you met him again?
We were staying at the Inn, which this one hotel in Woodstock, New York, which is where Woodstock, Illinois, outside of Chicago. So Bill and I were staying at the same place to do the Jeep commercial, and then he came down and we had dinner together, and he said, "Stephen, do you remember shooting the movie Groundhog Day?" And I go, "Yeah, Bill. Yeah, I remember a lot about it." He says, "Tell me about it because I don't remember any of it." So I started just telling Bill some of the stories I'm telling you, and stories about watching Bill and Andy do some of their scenes, and just some of the things that happened on the set, which were remarkable, which have never happened in another movie again, to where the director said, "Let's totally rewrite the script after we started shooting," and it turns out great. That never happens. So it all turned out good, and just told him stories about him, and about I mean, he's great. Bill Murray is one of the great actors, and it's easy to overlook. Because you say, "Well, Bill does." No, Bill has specificity. He has ideas behind every take. He knows he knows where the camera is and he's the full package. He's just a great actor. So we were all lucky.
Yeah. Um, Stephen, in your opinion, how difficult is it to become a working actor?
Impossible.
It's
It's impossible. You can't set out to try to do it. You can't. I think, and you have to define what working is. So,
to
a
make a
lot of
living, to make a living out
to
of it.
make a living.
Yes.
So, we all just in Texas at SMU, they had a very good drama program. That's where Kathy Bates was. That's where Powers Booth was. That's where Belita Marino was, and Pat Richardson. All these staples of our industry today were at this school, and designers too. Great designers there. It was a first class theater school, but we were being trained for theater. We weren't being trained to be in movies or television. We didn't know what that was, but we knew what theater was. And so we all had dreams that we would maybe be on Broadway, but you can't necessarily make a living being on Broadway. You don't get that much money when you're on Broadway and you're living in New York. It's it's I remember I did two shows on Broadway, one of which failed, which you get a bad review opening night, and you have to run, I think, 27 or 28 performances, so the playwright retains uh, power over his or her work. So we had to do the the minimum we did, and we played to. I got to say, during previews, the audience loved our show. The audience loved The Wake of Jamie Foster, loved it. And then after the reviews came out saying it was terrible, the audiences who had tickets hated it. They believed they believed the reviews, but it's like that show was absolutely terrific. And so we did 27, 20. So we were in New York, you know, we were out of town, and I think we did that in Hartford as well. We did Crimes of the Heart, I think, in Hartford as well. And then we took it to New York. We rehearsed it for a couple months, and then we opened the show, and we went out that night and thought we were in a hit. And then the reviews came that night at the party, and Beth Henley, who wrote Wake of Jamie Foster, went outside, sat on the curb in the rain in her opening night dress, and just cried. And her agent, Gilbert Parker, beautiful man, scholar and a gentleman who had passed away last year, sat beside her in his Brooks Brothers suit with his arm around her in the rain. It was heartbreaking. And then, I guess 2000, I went back and I did Mornings at 7, and it was a hit. And we ran for a year. Running a year in New York, you could barely make, on Broadway, in a hit, you could not make hardly enough money to live in New York. It's unless you're Brad Pitt or something, unless you command a special salary.
Wait, but you're Stephen Tobolowsky.
Yeah, well, no, that doesn't work. No. Like George Clooney, like George in the recent show he did in New York, made a ton of money. They Denzel Washington as Othello, he'll make a ton of money, especially to an Othello, especially Denzel Washington. My God. And they charge more for tickets now too. But you would make maybe $1,000 or $2,000 a week. So you're making $8,000 a month, but you have to pay for living. You have to pay for your hotel.
Your
You have to
agent,
pay.
probably.
Your agent gets 10% of it. Your manager gets 10%. So you're not coming home with a ton of money. But if you do, a movie or a TV show, they pay you a lot more money for doing like sitcoms on TV. So if you get to be a regular on a sitcom, then, you'll do fine. But they didn't teach you that at college. They didn't teach you how to do that at college, movies or television. So you just have to learn as you go. Now maybe they have classes here in LA about how to do TV shows, but I don't know that they do TV shows that much anymore, do they? I think if you look,
I think they call it something else. TV show.
well, they
Show.
have Netflix, but they have the
Yeah.
big three: ABC, CBS, NBC. I don't think they have like a slate of sitcoms that they present to the viewers every fall to say, here are new shows. I don't think so.
The only
Maybe
the
I'm
only
missing.
the only channel I have is Amazon Prime and Netflix.
Yeah, there you go. And that's what people are watching, and that's what people
Yeah.
are writing for.
So
So I have a lot
streaming.
of friends of mine that are comedy writers that are just having a hard time of it. A lot of actors are having a hard time of it because there just isn't as much work now.
Yeah. So where do you see the problems within this industry, the moving or filming industry?
I think it is. They say in I always loved arithmetic. I wasn't great at it, but in algebra, you cannot solve a problem with two unknowns. You know that. You can't find X and Y. What you end up with is a graph of whatever X is, Y is this, and if X changes, Y changes, and you end up with a whole different thing. And I think what's happening is where people shoot and what people watch are changing. So people, like you say, are watching Netflix. They're watching that. They're not watching sitcoms on ABC, NBC, CBS. So the studios here in LA, I'm kind of empty. They used to be just full, just people just coming out of the seams everywhere. Now I haven't been to Sony. Maybe Sony's busy, but I was just at Fox, Ghost Town. I was Paramount. I didn't see a lot of action when I was at Warner Brothers. It seemed empty. So a lot of these places where they were always filming something, the Drew Carey show or Tom Selleck show, all these shows that they were doing, they're not doing those anymore. And so what are they doing? They sold CBS Radford, I think, to a company in England. So that studio where I did Seinfeld, gone. I mean, it's not gone, but it's not being taken over by the CBS, NBC, ABC. They're not just doing all the work there. So I don't know. It's a change of viewer habit, and maybe it started with the pandemic. Where everything kind of went off the rails, and then people are saying, shut down. And why do a movie? Why spend, if you have Brad Pitt in your movie, I could understand, thinking you have a movie. Oh God. Anyway, I'm not too sure. I'm glad I was there. I was there when things were happening. So I was lucky that way. And now for the young actors that are coming out, there's always still going to be theater. Theater's always going to exist because it's not that expensive to produce on the local level, on the smaller level.
But you won't get rich or can't make a living.
No.
That's
It's not a business for getting rich. It's a business
or
for
at least making a living out of it. It's not
yes, no. It's a risk. It's a risky business, but if there's nothing else you can do, like for me, it was the only thing I ever wanted to do. I couldn't do anything else. So, for my parents, when I went to SMU, you could take theater classes and still say you were not a theater major. That you had to take a science. So I took geology, and I told my parents that I wanted to be a geologist, and they were happy with that. Can you believe that? They didn't want me to be an actor, but for some reason, being a geologist is good news. Our son's a geologist. But
what is worse? I mean, finding a job as a geologist.
yeah, I know.
I-
What are you gonna do in Texas? It's like all looking for oil, but it's So I ended up just taking theater classes, and I got jobs at the local Equity Theater. And then I got a SAG job in Texas where they paid me $100 for the job.
But you also have a master degrees in theater or acting
Yeah,
or
I do. I have. Yeah, I
yeah.
use that master's. That means I could teach somewhere probably.
But it didn't
I
help.
could.
It didn't, or it doesn't help you to get any roles or
No, and
parts.
teachers
Or
don't make
hey,
any
here
money either.
I have a master degree here.
yeah,
Ned Ryerson here. I have a
yeah.
master degree.
No. So I was working a lot at the right time, so I was glad.
Speaking of working, haul out the Halloween.
Oh, that what haul out the Halloween. Okay, so we did haul out the Holly for Hallmark. We did that for Hallmark, and people loved it. It was hysterical. It was a funny, just great. And then we did haul out the Holly lit up, which with new characters and everything, and people really enjoyed that. And everywhere I went, working on different movies and things, people said, "When is Hallmark going to do a third installment of it?" And I went out to lunch with Lacey Chabert, from Hallmark. We
Who's Lacey? Is she the producer?
Lacey is the star, the lady star of
Ah,
so
yeah,
many
yeah, 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 yeah,
Hallmark
yeah.
movies, but she also is an executive producer. And we went out to have Greek food, and she was saying, "Well, how do you feel about doing another Haul Out the Holly movie?" And I said, "Are you kidding? Everywhere I've been going in my travels, like working on stuff, people come up to me and said, 'We want another Haul Out the movie. We want another movie.'" And they said, "Well, we have to get the whole cast together." Because it's so anyway, they came up with the idea of not doing a Christmas movie, but a Halloween movie, Haul Out the Halloween. And I got to tell you, we had so much fun. We we got the same group of idiots together. We had so much fun, and McLean Nelson is our director. He directed all three of them. So McLean has this technique, and that is you do the scene, and you do the scene as written, and you get it the way you like it. And if we have time, it's free money. Free money, do whatever you want now. Do the scene, but do it with whatever lines you want, anything
So
you want to do.
practically improv.
Improv. And you've got some lunatic improvers on this movie. And I got to tell you, I just watching some of the scenes, it is so
And
funny and
did
so
did they
deep.
did they actually cut parts of that improv in, or was it
Well,
just for
we
fun?
don't know yet.
Oh, you
I
don't
don't
know? Oh,
know.
you have seen it.
McLean is no, McLean is editing it now. And then his edit has to be approved by Hallmark. So it has to be something that McLean likes and Hallmark likes. So we'll see. But I gotta say, when you have a repertory company in theater, you get this magic happening between actors, which happened at Theater 3 when I was at Theater 3. The same group of people, we were, for a couple years, we were always in the same plays together. And the same thing that kind of happened at SMU, you get the same people in the shows, even though we're students. We've done the same cast now, has worked on 3 movies, and everybody knows what everybody else is thinking. It's like a well-oiled machine now. Everybody's got the license to kill. And we had so much fun. And not only that, but the people on the Haul Out the movies know that the key is it isn't a matter of having fun. It's a matter of having fun and telling the story, because the story is what's the star of the show. And this is a whopper of a great story. It is a dear story. It is a sweet story. It is a love story. Love story. It is a story of trying to make amends for past wrongs. It's got, and it's hilarious.
So it's a little bit drama in it.
Yes, well, sort of, but you take it all seriously, but because the characters are so wacky, you have to laugh too. But it's very, very dear, and I don't want to spill any of the plot points because it's too like absolutely delightful. But I gotta say, from the smile I've seen on Lacey's face to McLean, I went out with McLean the other night for dinner. He says, "Buddy boy, this movie is a whopper. It is terrific." And so we're just hoping that it all edits together and that Hallmark likes and approves the edit if they like what it is or change what they want. And then it'll come out, and I think it's going to make so many people so happy. It is all about all the right things. It's all about love, and it's all about repairing past injury and wrongs. It's the trick or treat. It's what you don't expect from Halloween. It's a sweet movie. It's a funny movie, and I just McLean keeps giving me little scenes on my phone. I just keep watching them again and again and again because it just tickles me to death. So that's coming out. Haul Out the Halloween is coming
Will there
out.
be a trailer?
There will be. I'm sure there will be a trailer, but Hallmark keeps everything kind of
And
close.
and
But
I assume it will come out in October, right?
I assume so. I assume so. So hopefully, I'll have Haul Out the Halloween always showing on Halloween. Hopefully, I
Yeah.
will have the Hallmark Christmas movies, uh,
On Christmas.
lit up, and haul
Yeah.
haul out the holly